It was a chilly Friday afternoon in downtown Atlanta. People bustled past one another, eyes glued to phones, earbuds in, minds elsewhere. Cars honked, a food truck sizzled, and somewhere nearby, a saxophone player tried to earn a few bucks. In the middle of all this noise, no one noticed the old woman standing alone at the corner of Peachtree and Fifth. She looked out of place, frail, with silver hair in a neat bun, wearing an old-fashioned lavender coat and white gloves. Her eyes darted nervously as she clutched a tiny leather purse to her chest. She didn't belong there. She looked like she'd walked out of a 1960s postcard, confused and scared. People passed her by like she was invisible. A suited businessman bumped into her, muttered, "Watch it," and kept walking. Two teenagers laughed as they brushed past, not even sparing her a glance. Even the cop directing traffic looked right through her. No one stopped. No one asked if she was okay. Until a young voice broke through the crowd. "Mom, you okay?" The woman turned slowly. Standing in front of her was a teenage boy, maybe 16 or 17, tall and lanky, with a backpack slung over one shoulder. His hoodie had holes in the sleeves, and his sneakers had clearly seen better days. His skin was dark, his expression sincere. He wasn't much older than a kid, but something about him was steady. "Gentle, I think I'm lost," the woman said, her voice trembling. He looked around. "Where were you trying to go?" She blinked, confused. "Home, but don't know where it is." People still walked past. Some glanced, but no one stopped. Just the boy. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're not alone now." And with that, he held out his hand. The woman hesitated, then placed her gloved hand in his. It was a simple gesture, but one that would change both of their lives forever, because what no one around them knew was that this lost old woman wasn't just anybody. She was one of the richest women in America. The boy's name was Malik. He didn't have much, no father at home, a mother working double shifts, and a neighborhood where sirens were more common than ice cream trucks. But what he did have was empathy. And right now, it was leading him through the city streets, walking beside the trembling old woman whose name he still didn't know. "I'm Malik," he said gently. "What should I call you, ma'am?" The woman hesitated, her eyes cloudy. "My name is Eleanor Hart." "Nice to meet you, Miss Eleanor." He smiled. "Let's find your home, all right." She gave a weak nod. He guided her toward a bus stop and helped her sit. "You remember anything about your house? Maybe a color street?" Eleanor stared ahead for a long moment, then whispered, "There was a white fence and roses." "I remember roses." Malik frowned. That wasn't much to go on. He pulled out his phone, cracked screen and all, and began searching nearby senior living centers and addresses that matched white fence anything. He even called one of the listings. While he searched, Eleanor looked at him curiously. "Why are you helping me?" Malik glanced up, shrugged. "Because you needed it. That's what you're supposed to do." She studied him a while longer. "People don't just help anymore. I ain't people," he said, grinning. After a few more tries, one of the care centers picked up a private facility in Buckhead. When Malik described her, the nurse on the other end gasped. "Mrs. Hart." "Oh my God, she's been missing for hours. We've been searching the entire district relieved." Malik told them where they were. "We'll send a car immediately," they promised. As he ended the call, Eleanor's hand gently covered his. "Thank you, Malik." A sleek black town car arrived 20 minutes later. Two nurses rushed out, embracing Eleanor with a mix of shock and tears. One of them turned to Malik. "You have no idea what you've done." He scratched his head. "I just saw someone who needed help. They offered to give him a ride, but he declined." "I'm good. I walk everywhere anyway." As he turned to leave, Eleanor suddenly called out, "Wait!" Malik turned. She looked at him, eyes gleaming. "I'd like to see you again." Malik didn't think much of it after that day. He never expected to hear from Eleanor again. He figured she'd gone back to her quiet, comfortable life, and he returned to his world of after-school shifts, leftover dinners, and patchy Wi-Fi. But 3 days later, something unusual happened. A black SUV pulled up in front of his apartment building. Out stepped a sharply dressed man in a grey suit. He looked around the crumbling complex, then up at Malik, who was tossing a basketball with his little brother. "Are you Malik Jones?" the man asked. Yeah, I work for Mrs. Eleanor Hart. She'd like to invite you to lunch." Malik blinked. "You serious?" The man smiled, for a few hours later, Malik found himself stepping into the grandest home he'd ever seen. The Hart estate wasn't just a house, it looked like a museum. Marble floors, tall windows, a chandelier bigger than his entire bedroom. Eleanor sat in a sunlit room, sipping tea from delicate china. When she saw Malik, her whole face lit up. "You came," Malik shuffled in, still wearing the same old sneakers. "Yeah, kinda hard to say no when a limo shows up." She laughed. "I wanted to thank you properly. You already did," Malik replied. "No, Malik," she said seriously. "That was just a thank you. What I want to do now is change your life." He stared at her, confused. She continued, "I built companies, I've worked with presidents, sat on boards, traveled the world. But in my weakest moment, with millions in the bank and all the power in the world, no one helped me. Except you." Malik was silent. "I want to invest in you," she said. "Whatever your dream is, college, business, travel, I want to fund it." Fully, he almost laughed. "Why me because you saw me? Not a crazy old lady, not an inconvenience, a person." Malik swallowed hard. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes." The room was quiet for a moment, then he nodded. "Yes," Eleanor smiled wide. "Then let's begin." The next few weeks were like something out of a movie for Malik. One day, he was riding the city bus with holes in his shoes the next. He was being measured for a suit in a high-end men's boutique. Downtown, Eleanor didn't just write a check. She became a mentor, a guide, almost a grandmother. She introduced him to people in her vast network: lawyers, entrepreneurs, educators. She had a private tutor help him prep for the SATs and enrolled him in a summer business program at Georgia Tech. "You're not just going to school," she told him. "You're going to thrive." Still, Malik stayed grounded. He continued helping his mum at home, walked his little brother to school, and refused to let money change who he was. That, Eleanor said, is exactly why she'd chosen him. But not everyone understood one afternoon. As Malik walked through his old neighborhood, a group of boys he used to hang out with spotted him, dressed in pressed slacks and carrying a laptop bag. He stuck out. "Look who got fancy," one of them jeered. "You forget where you came from." "Malik, nah," Malik replied coolly. "I remember exactly where I came from. That's why I'm not staying." The boys laughed, but Malik kept walking later that week. Eleanor invited him to a dinner party. He wore the new suit she'd bought him and tried not to feel out of place among senators, CEOs, and philanthropists. At first he stayed quiet, unsure of what to say. But then someone asked about his story and Malik told it, honestly and humbly. By the end of the night, 3 different guests had offered him internships. When he got home, he sat on the porch steps with his mum. She looked at him, pride in her eyes. "You know, she said your father would have been so proud of you." Malik smiled faintly. "I hope so." Then she added, "That woman, Miss Eleanor, she's not just helping you, you're helping her too." He looked at her, puzzled. "She was lost, remember?" His mum said, "Maybe you helped her find more than just her home.